besties, welcome back to my channel. It is your girl, Dutchy. What is up? What is kicking? Happy Pride Month still. As I said, I'm going to be saying that in every video. Today's topic of conversation is going to be about asexuality. Yes, that's right, an entire video dedicated to anyone on the ace spectrum, from grey ace to demi to literally everything. And as a bisexual, I'm not able to speak about asexuality myself from personal experience, so I thought it would be a really wholesome idea to get some of the Dutchy fam themselves to come on, introduce themselves, talk a little bit about their gender identity and or sexuality with all of you, and explain their own feelings, things that they went through, thoughts they had, to help you more than I could ever help you. So with that being said, I am so excited to introduce to you some of the Dutchy fam that have come forward wanting to be in this ace video. So a couple of weeks back, I popped on my Instagram stories, bit of a shout out, bit of a PSA, asking for any of you to come forward if you are on the ace spectrum and you felt comfortable recording yourself for this video. So I'm just about to introduce everyone in this video, or I'll let them introduce themselves rather. Then on that story, I also received a bunch of questions from all of you that you would like an asexual person or someone on the asexual spectrum to answer. So I'm going to work my way through. It'll be all of those people answering the questions for you, and I'll just be here facilitating. I've had all of them send in videos prior, and I'll just pick out their answers and pop them in here for you. So yeah, without further ado, I will let them take it from here. Welcome! I hope you all enjoy. Give a huge thumbs up if you enjoy this content. Definitely comment down below thanking these following people for being in it. It takes a lot of courage to film yourself and then send it in to be on a channel. So thank you all so much. Before I even get started, thank you so much for reaching out and making this video happen. Yeah, without further ado, let's get into the questions and the introductions.
Hi there, my name is Freya.
My name is Gray.
My name is Jay.
My name's Agathe.
My pronouns are she and her.
My pronouns are she, they.
My pronouns are they, them. I identify as non-binary.
I go by she, her.
And my sexual orientation is gray, asexual, and bisexual.
And I identify as non-binary, bisexual, and biromantic, and demisexual, demiromantic, so...
And asexual, more specifically demisexual and demiromantic. I've been a subscriber of Dutchy for 2 years, since May 2019.
And I am asexual. Or at least I'm on the asexual spectrum. I may be demisexual or gray sexual. Yeah, I guess.
Have you ever felt sexual desire, or has there always been a lack of it ever since you can remember?
I've never felt sexual desire as my girlfriend has. And I know it, the way I kind of explain it to people would be that, for instance, growing up when we were teenagers and stuff, or, I mean, it still happens, the girls would be like, oh, he looks so hot, he's so sexy, or would describe kind of their biceps or their abs on the beach and stuff like that. And the first thought I had was like, yeah, I mean, he looks sweet, or I guess he maybe have a great personality, or I've never looked at body parts or at how they look. I mean, I look at how their style is, how they present themselves, but I've never described anyone as hot or sexy, ever.
I'm Demi. I feel it now. When I have friends and emotional bonds and all that jazz. Yeah, but I also totally prefer holding hands and cuddling because those are cute. And I'm a little bee, and yeah, so I do, but it's kind of this rare thing. It's mystical.
I have felt sexual desire, but it was always towards crushes that I had on my best friends or people that I had deep emotional connections with, rather than people that I didn't know very well.
I don't think I've ever felt sexual desire. I think the reason why I say I may be demi is that sometimes when I have like crushes on people, I'm like, yeah, I could have sex with that person potentially, but also, I mean, that doesn't really appeal me. Like, that's not the main thing that I think about. It's more like, would I be ready to do it with them? Like, am I okay with it? Rather than I actually want to with that, like, specific person, for example.
How do you know if you're asexual or just a late bloomer?
I struggled with this for many years because I actually thought maybe I was just a late bloomer than others. Someone wrote an article about dating as an asexual, and I read it, and I kind of realized that I felt a lot of what she was feeling. For instance, the whole thing about describing people, as I said in the previous question, but also just kind of not being interested in it. Like all of my friends, they were in relationships, they were having sex, they were kissing, when they were going out, they were kissing people, and it didn't really speak to me in any way. And I was just, so I thought I was a late bloomer, and I also actually thought that maybe I was just afraid of getting pregnant. That's why I didn't have sex, until I realized that it wasn't about sex for me, it was about the other person. And that was one of the reasons why I've never been in a relationship, because our culture is sex, and when sex is not something for you, you kind of feel left out. So I had many years as a teenager where I struggled to even talk about it, because I was very uncomfortable, until I realized that it's okay, because it's not that something's wrong with me. It's just I don't find it interesting. And that's totally awesome. I mean, many of my girlfriends, or I only have one friend that's asexual, so most of my friends talk a lot about it, and I've come to terms with learning to talk about it myself, but I'm not in the same shoe as they are.
I was lucky. I bloomed. I was 16 or 17 when I found out I was demi. I was pretty sure I had bloomed. But something I experienced that is sort of out of the normal, as they like to call it, is I'm kind of sort of prudish. I don't really like the word, but I don't really have a better one. My friends talk about it, I'm like, no, let's cut that conversation short. I don't want to hear about it. I don't like sex scenes, at all, but it's personally, that's how I feel. So, I mean, if that's something that sort of makes you uncomfortable and you're like, why is this here? Okay. Yeah, this is an experience that my fellow friends who are asexual also mentioned that they dislike strongly.
I guess a quick reminder that I feel like everybody is going to say as well is that asexuality is like a sexuality, and it's about sexual attraction. So it's about attraction. It's like, what do you feel when you see somebody or when you get to know somebody? Do you feel like you'd like to like have sex with that person or not? It's not about like being ready or whatever. Like, so I mean, I don't know, like I've thought that I was a late bloomer for a while, because like other people were talking about it and I didn't really care about it, and then eventually I found out that word and I was like, well, yeah, that's me actually. So I mean, just go with whatever you're comfortable with. There's also a big thing with like being a late bloomer. That's a very like, you know, it's a constructed word. It's not an actual thing. There's no timeline for your life, like, you know. So just, I mean, I'm gonna say something very cliche, but like, don't put pressure on yourself to like have sex by, you know, whichever age is the latest or the earliest, or whatever in your country or whatever, you know. So just, you know, if you're a late bloomer, that's okay. If you're asexual, that's okay. Just remember that asexuality is about sexual attraction. So if you feel sexual attraction towards somebody or towards other people, then you may not be asexual. You may also be asexual, but yeah, I guess that's it.
Can non-ace/aro people have queer platonic relationships?
I suppose so. My QBR is with an ace person, but yes, I don't see why not. It's a different relationship. It's like its own thing. There's no reason you wouldn't be able to. You know, I'm demi, and yeah, it's a great thing. It's really awesome bond to share with anyone of any identity, so I really think, sure, there's no reason not to.
I believe that anyone who identifies as LGBTQ can have a queer platonic relationship as long as there is good communication within it.
Can demi-romantic people still want romantic relationships if they're not currently crushing on someone?
I can tell you from personal experience that I've literally always wanted a romantic relationship. Before I knew it was demi, after I knew it was demi, I was like, yeah, I still want that bad. I was like, that's my tea. I want it bad. It's like coffee for a caffeine addict. Yeah, I really want it. I'm like a total romantic at heart. I don't have a current crush right now, finally. But yeah, it's totally something that I'm probably always gonna want, regardless of if I'm crushing on someone. It's just like, with who? You know? Just like even like an out person, like, I don't know who I'm crushing on, so, but I still want to be romantic. So yes, they can totally desire to, in the future, have a romantic relationship with someone they come across and form an emotional bond with. Of course.
Yes, demi-romantic just means that you don't feel romantic attraction towards people you don't know well. It doesn't mean that you don't want it.
Can you be demi for only one gender but not another?
Well, if you're homosexual or heterosexual, and also demi, yes. Definitely. That would be the definition. But say you're like me and you're bi or pan or omni. I suppose so. For me, it's both. I also have preferences, but yeah, I would imagine some people experience that, and that's totally okay. Sure. Yeah, emotional bonds can be formed with people of all genders, and perhaps you've had crushes on one gender without needing that emotional bond on the other. It's just like doesn't happen. Totally fine.
Totally. Being demisexual or demi-romantic doesn't mean it's for all genders or no genders. Because, I mean, it's a different spectrum from the like gender attraction spectrum. So you can be attracted to only men, to only women, to like all of them, to only, you know, like it's a different spectrum from the homosexual, heterosexual, bisexual, pansexual, and all the other like attractions. It's being demisexual or demi-romantic means that you only develop sexual attraction towards another person after having a very strong connection and romantic feelings if it's sexual, and another woman, another connection if it's romantic. But gender doesn't come into the equation to be a demisexual, for example.
How to know if you're demi or if it's compet?
Honestly, I know I'm not compet because I very much accept how flamboyantly bisexual I am. But it's more of like this, you're never, ever feeling this attraction or desire for a sexual romantic relationship if we're looking at either side of demi here, like ever, without that emotional bond. Then I think you probably are. I think you're compet. There's some repression there. It's going to take some working on yourself and looking deeper into your mind and kind of being retrospective and being like, okay, nope, yeah, I didn't have an emotional bond with that person. I had a rush on them, but give yourself space and just kind of dig into it. It's, definitely possible that it's a compet thing, but it's also totally possible it's not. So just kind of be retrospective about it and be like, yeah, maybe I did have a crush without that emotional bond there, and maybe, okay, maybe I'm not. So yeah, definitely. Just kind of have to be retrospective. It's really not much else I can offer.
How to know if you're demi or compet? This is a really hard question that I kind of still struggle with, but if you identify as female or female aligning non-binary, I recommend reading the Lesbian Master Doc.
How to differentiate between style and gender?
Well, they're not the same thing, so there you go. How about just think of them as two different, totally, entirely separate things? Would be my best advice, but unless someone's wearing a sign that says, my gender is blank blank, then their style has zero to do with their gender. Zero. I mean, they might use it as a form of gender expression, and good for them. I do too. But the best way to differentiate is to talk to the person and be like, how do you identify? And if they say they identify as a girl, then that's how they identify, and so forth. Whatever they say their gender is, that is what it is. There is no questions asked there. It doesn't matter what they're wearing. I mean, if you're trying to differentiate without having a conversation, you're just never going to get there. You have to have a conversation. That's just the best way to differentiate, is to open up that conversational field.
How to differentiate between style and gender. Style is how you express yourself on the outside with clothes, makeup, hair, and gender is how you identify and feel on the inside.
Can greys and demis use the asexual flag?
Yes, they can. Because grays and demi is under the asexual spectrum. So I use it. I use the bisexual flag and I use the asexual flag. So no problem there.
If they want. I don't. I prefer the demi flag. We do have our own flag, so yay that. But yeah, asexuality exists on the spectrum, which we'll talk about later, and that means the flag can cover anyone in it. So if they want to use that flag, by all means.
Yes, I believe that demi and gray people can still use the asexual flag and call themselves asexual because those labels fall underneath the umbrella of asexuality. They're just more specific.
I mean, I would say yes, because for example, I don't really know if I'm gray or demi or full-on asexual, but asexuality is a spectrum. It's kind of, you can use the flag, I would say, and you can call yourself asexual also because it may make it easier for other people to understand if you just want to be quick and be like, yeah, I'm ace. If you don't want to have to explain what grace is or what demi is.
Can greys and demis call themselves asexual?
Because it's a spectrum, so of course you can use it. I use it. Normally I say I'm asexual when I'm telling people in my life, because gray sexual, it doesn't exist in Danish. I would still say gray asexual in English, use it in Danish sentence. So normally I just say that I'm asexual, and then when I explain how it is for me, I say that I'm in the gray area of it.
It's a better known term, so sure. If that helps them get the point across they want to make, then sure. I prefer to still use demi, because it's different. It's a lot different. But yes, they can use that term. It is an umbrella term. So, yeah, they can.
Do asexuals still have sex or no?
It depends. I mean, some do, some don't. It's a preference. So, for instance, I've had sex before, but it's not like I'm not active in the same way as others out of the spectrum would be, and it's not something that I think about. So for me personally, I would have sex, but it would be with a person that I trust and that I know. So preferably it would be in a relationship. So yeah, I mean, I've actually always kind of felt that the ones that just go out and do it are spectacularly great. I mean, I would have wished that I could do that when I was a teenager, not a teenager, but younger than I am now. But yeah.
If they want to, sure, why not? There are purposes. Totally unrelated to attraction purposes, so sure. Assuming they're on a sexual state, then yeah, they probably do. And that is totally okay. And they are totally valid as an asexual. Having sex and being sexually attracted are not the same. They're generally related, but they're not the same.
Yes, some asexual people still choose to have sex and want it, and some choose not to and don't want it.
Do asexuals still have sex or no? Yes, some do. Because asexuality is about the attraction towards another person. It's not about libido or even just wanting to have sex in general. So some people do. I don't, but that's another, that's something else. But yeah, some people totally do. Like, there's a lot of reasons that someone can have sex. Like, you can just want to, because you can be demi and want to have sex with someone. You can want to because you'd like to have children of your own. I mean, biological children. You can just want to because it's nice, I don't know. Also because there are asexual people who actually want to have sex. That's okay. But also some asexual people don't ever want to have sex, and that's important to remember, that if you are an allosexual, so like a non-asexual person, then you can't like pressure an asexual person into having sex. Like, asexual people can, like, some can technically like have sex, but it doesn't mean that they will want to, and consent and communication are very important.
How to know if you experience sexual attraction or not when you don't know what it feels like?
Great question again. Yeah, I would just kind of go back to the example that I gave earlier, that if when I was a teenager, and I'm saying a teenager because all of my friends right now are in relationships, they would describe guys or women or whatever, they would describe them as sexy or hot, or kind of look at their body and their face and stuff like that, where I would always focus on like the eyes or the fashion style, or be like, oh yeah, they look kind, they look like a kind person, they probably have a great personality, stuff like that. So I totally had and also I never thought about sex. So they were like, they could look at a person and be, oh, I could totally, be with them. Yes. And I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know them, so I can't say that. So that's how it is for me personally. I know it's different from other people, of course, because we're all different.
I think you'll know it when you feel it, but that was at least my experience, I think, you have to just sort of take a step back and be like, do I even understand why someone would ever want that? And if your answer is no, then it's time to do some retrospective thinking and think, okay, have I really ever felt that for anyone? And if the answer is no, then okay, you're probably on the A spectrum, and that's okay. It's a cool place to be. Come hang out with us. We like cake. It's very cool. We like cake and dragons. Cake and dragons are very cool.
I mean, eventually you kind of realize how people act around you and how they talk about things and stuff, and you're like, I don't think I relate to what they're talking about. Like, I mean, I think a big thing is celebrities, and people are like, oh, they're hot, or, celebrity crushes and stuff. And I mean, I can like appreciate like the aesthetic, like how aesthetically pleasing they are. Like, they look nice, and they look nice for like a 21st century typical beauty standard type of thing. But I don't think I find them sexy or anything. I don't know, it's kind of, I mean, yeah, I don't feel like I'd want to have sex with them, basically.
Can you be asexual but still want to kiss someone or do more?
Of course, as I said before, asexuality is a spectrum, so you can do and want whatever you want. Some people don't like to kiss and have sex. Some people do like kissing and have sex. Some only want kissing. It's a preference, really. I mean, yes, yeah, it's a preference. And it's all valid, of course.
Sure, why not? If you're not aro, kissing is, in my opinion, a romantic thing, not a sexual thing. So I would believe an ace person who's not aro would probably want to kiss people. I like kissing people. Kissing is good. And do more, yeah, sure. I mean, expand, but I mean, I think I answered this. Yeah. Of course. That desire and such is sort of part of the asexual definition, but it's sort of got this or in there. So,
Yes, being asexual doesn't mean you don't want to do anything physical with anyone. It just means that maybe you don't want to as much as other people, or you only want to with certain people that you know really well.
Yes, totally. Once again, asexuality is about the attraction towards another person. It has nothing to do with the physical, like with the willingness to be physical with the person. You can be asexual and want to kiss a person or do more or cuddle or even, go like have sex and stuff.
If I don't feel pleasure while masturbating, does that make me asexual?
Answer for that, because we all feel things differently. I would say yes, maybe. It's different because some people don't masturbate at all because they find it sickening. Some do, not out of pleasure, but out of the experience they get, and some like the pleasure of doing it. So it's very different. I do masturbate myself, and I find it kind of a mix of pleasure and kind of, yeah, I guess it's pleasure. It's pleasure for me. My friend said recently, which I kind of liked, that it's because she's asexual as well, and she said, right now I don't feel like having sex with others, so having sex with myself, i.e. masturbating, is the best thing. So yes, it's different. Not all feel the pleasure, and some do.
no, not really. I mean, it's possible. It could be that per sign, if we want to call it that, but no. Lots of people don't, I imagine. You may not know what you like yet, you may not feel it when you're alone, and I think that would be the opposite of asexual. So, yeah, no, it's definitely not a guaranteed, oh, I'm definitely asexual if I don't like this. Absolutely not, no. But it could certainly be part of it.
Is being aro and ace a spectrum? If so, can you please explain?
Yes, it's a spectrum. Asexuality is a spectrum. It's the same as call yourself gay, for instance. If you call yourself gay, you're not necessarily gay as the definition of being attracted to the same sex. So, for instance, you can call yourself gay and be bisexual. That's totally valid because it's a spectrum. So, for instance, you could also call yourself bisexual, but being pansexual. Again, that's a spectrum. So, I mean, I'm graysexual, so I'm in the asexual spectrum. I would call myself asexual mainly because it's easier in Danish. Graysexual doesn't exist in Danish. Asexual does. So that's just how I say it, to make it easier. But yeah, it is a spectrum, and it's totally awesome calling yourself whatever you want, because it's what feels right for you.
Well, I'll try because yes, it is. It is a spectrum. I'm on the spectrum. I'm Demi. Welcome to the spectrum. I think that really explains it the most, but like anything else, gender, attraction, two genders, spectrum. That's it. It's really simple. Ace, aloe, aro, aloe. If you fall in between, welcome to the spectrum. Simple. Yeah, it exists on a spectrum, and demi, gray, they'll like fall there.
Yes, for sure. There are people like myself who identify as demiromantic and demisexual and gray who still feel attraction, but less and, more towards people that we have emotional connections with. And then there are asexual people who feel no attraction at all towards anyone.
Yes, it is. So I guess it's two different spectrums that can overlap, obviously. A romantic spectrum is about not feeling romantic attraction towards other people. I don't think I can explain this one because I don't think I am a romantic, so I'll go towards the asexual right now. So the asexual spectrum is a spectrum, and it's not like a line spectrum, you know, it's like a circle type thing, because you can be, you know, asexual. You don't want to hear about it. You don't want to have sex with the person. You don't feel any sexual attraction toward anyone ever. You can also be gray asexual, which is sometimes feeling sexual attraction toward other people. You can be demisexual, which is feeling sexual attraction towards a person, but only once you've developed like feelings and for the person, like actually a strong, like more like mental connection rather than physical one. You can be asexual and feel no sexual attraction towards a person, but still want to have sex with a person.
How do I know if I'm asexual or demisexual?
Well, I'm certain that a lot of the clips from the other people that's talking today will kind of give you some setup because of the questions that we've been asked. And yes, I mean, I'm not demisexual, so I can't talk about that, but I am asexual, and it's a spectrum, so everyone can be different, but I would mainly say that it would mean that that you don't feel sexual attraction to people, and that you maybe not have the biggest sex drive. It doesn't mean that you don't want to have sex, it just means that it's not important to you in the same way that it would be for other people. Yes, and that maybe the romantic part is the more important, because it's about having a relationship with another person, not what you do together, but how you are together. I mean, and if you clicked on this video, maybe you want to learn more about it. So, and that's awesome. So, yes.
The definition comes as a surprise of existence, and we see it and we're like, wow, everything I was so confused about makes sense now. So if you have that experience, good for you. If not, that's okay. Again, I really like to say just be retrospective. It works really well. Just look at yourself and say, okay, here's this definition. Does it fit me? And then do some thinking. I think with any identity, it takes some self-work to really come to that conclusion.
That's kind of a hard one. I would say that you have to do a lot of thinking about your past relationships, crushes, moments that you think that you felt attraction towards people. And also I recommend talking to other asexual people and comparing your experiences, but just remember that everyone has a different experience.
Maybe until it happens, you won't know, but also I don't like saying that also because you know who you are, and just kind of try and go and read things about it and see how you feel, and you know, whichever word you find more comfortable using, then use that word. It doesn't really matter what other people think or anything, like, you know, it's whichever word you find more comfortable using, just use that word.
Yeah, that's I'm that stereotype. So I hope everyone has a great day. Great. Bye.
I want to thank Dutchy for this wonderful opportunity and making this wonderful, very neat video. Have a good day. Love to y'all. Peace.
Thank you so much for having me in this video, Megan. I love you.
Thanks for doing that video again, Megan. And yeah, I'll be watching. Bye.
Well, that was quite possibly the most wholesome video I have ever uploaded to this channel to date. I would like to take some time to thank everyone that was in this video. Again, thank you so much for your time and effort. It means the absolute world to me and everyone else watching this video. The Dutchy fam appreciates you so much for coming on and being so vulnerable and speaking about your journey and being on the ace spectrum, what it means to you, and for answering everyone's questions. So again, Thank you so much. You were all awesome. I loved it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up so I know to do more like this in the future. And also comment down below any of your thoughts to do with this style of video. If you want me to do it for another sexuality and have more people on, or gender identity, or what have you, I would absolutely love to get more of you on to speak about your experiences from a different point of view, because obviously I can only cover so much. So yeah, this was super wholesome. I love you all so much. Happy Pride. Keep priding. Woohoo! And yeah, I'll see you all in my next one. Bye!